What's in your wallet?
I'm so old.
I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 explosive hot dog carts.
Ritualistic blood magic.
Laser shooting chesty statues.
Don't watch movies unless we tell you to. Welcome to Movies with My Best Friend Phil, a movie podcast for super chill guys, super chill vibes. I'm your host, Phil Surfman Kessel, joined by two of my board bros, Craig The Wave Norlin.
What is this theme?
And also Will Sand in My Buns Chotis.
You
didn't like that?
No, you know what? That's actually I just brought up a lot of bad memories of high school. You know, because that was my nickname, which is I'm assuming why you said that.
That's why I was going.
Yeah,
with
I was
that.
always called Will Sand in My Buns Chotis, and I was like, you know what?
Even by the teachers, it was really strange.
I didn't like it, and it's like I only had sand that one time, and then those two other times.
Okay, but it was in your buns.
Yeah, and it was a lot.
Yeah, it was like an unreal amount of sand that just kept coming out of your buns.
It was a problem.
Yeah,
I am aware of that, but thanks for bringing that up, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all need to get over our things, and I'm just trying to help. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all we can ever do as human men.
Human men.
Just be asking questions.
All we can do is ask questions and never get to the heart of the issue.
Speaking of getting to the heart of the issue, what got you in a surfer vibe?
Okay, so listen, if you're listening, I was doing a surfer bit. Like, I don't know if that came. I feel like it came through. I was trying to be a little subtle with it. Okay, so occasionally I'll go on Craigslist. I love Craigslist. Your list. I love your list. You put together a fantastic list. I don't know how you have time to do it because you do it for every city. Well, not every city. It's just like big major cities. And it's like, how do you have time to write that list out, man?
I just ignore everyone and everything.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I could have Phil's list if I did that.
Yeah.
Human connection. Damn it. I browse Craigslist all the time. Whether I'm in the market for like buying something or just I like to look at motorcycles sometimes. I'm not going to get a motorcycle, but I keep looking at them and saying,
"Are you?
Oh, I could get that." And then I'm afraid of like I'm afraid of like riding my bike too fast, so I don't think I should get a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But they do look really cool. They have a like vintage vibe that I like. If you're looking at a vintage one, I guess. There's a specific motorcycle type that I like. And it is like cafe racers and then Hondas from the 70s.
Ooh. And
those are the only type of motorbikes that I like. Where did I get off on this? Craigslist. Okay, so I also will look at bands, at musicians ads for Craigslist. And I was on there for Ann Arbor because I'm moving back here. And I was like, oh man, maybe I want to join a band. Meanwhile, I don't have a drum set and I haven't played in years. And the last time I went to Guitar Center and sat down an electronic kit, I realized I could not play drums anymore. So I don't know why I would. I would get back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know why I'm looking at joining a band. I don't know the requisite pieces of things that you need. But I saw a band that was like goth surf tiki band looking for drummer. And I was like, well, okay, you've got me here.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this ad for this band and I'm like, I think I would like surf music, but I only know Miserlou and the Beach Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, that's actually it. No, I'm kidding. There's a lot more. But Miserlou is like the quintessential surf song.
Yeah.
Like and do it like
and Wipeout. I mean,
and
that's the quintessential surf song.
Yeah. But like doing my research now, I'm like listening to a bunch of surf music, and it's also there's a bunch of bands just covering Miserlou, and I'm like, oh, that is I guess that's just the surf song, and I thought it was Wipeout, but apparently it's Miserlou. It's both.
Yeah.
How does Miserlou go?
It's
something like that.
Okay, yeah.
yes. It's actually you would probably recognize it first as Pump It. Not Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Black Eyed Peas, the other food band.
Yeah,
with the color.
the only other two.
The only two. But it's
you're thinking about a Red Melon Weezer.
That's right.
You forgot about them.
No, it's the
Yeah. Wasn't that in like Pulp Fiction or one of those?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Tarantino
loves
loves
stuff,
surf music, I guess, because it shows up.
So is this why you sent us that song?
Yeah, I sent that album that like sounds like a Halloween album.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it was. I assumed you would. That's why I sent it. I was listening. I was like, you know who would love this?
Yeah.
Fucking Craig.
Yeah. Because I've heard those songs before.
Yeah, they just so that's an album by the Ghastly Ones, which was specifically on this Craigslist ads like influences. So I went there first. I was listening to that. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like there is something about surf music that's very, very vibesy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In a like an aesthetic that I like, but also there is a like level of musicality to it that I think sometimes you don't get with silly songs, like goofy songs.
Yes.
Like I've done silly covers of songs where like you change all the words, like you do a parody and then you change all the words of the song and it's something silly. But like there is a silliness to surf music that I really, really, really vibe with, and there is an aesthetic to it, and there's a lot going on there that there's more going on there than I even realized. Surf music is like proto-punk music.
Oh yeah, it totally is.
I didn't know that because it was surf music here, and then the British invasion happened.
Yeah,
and so all music became that instead of surf music.
Yeah.
And I knew about like the Beach Boys and the Beatles and how like they kept playing off of each other, and like if Brian Wilson hadn't had like a mental breakdown,
and I don't even know.
The Beach Boys probably would have been one of the biggest bands.
Yeah,
they are.
They were, but not like
they would have been more Beatles.
The thing that's weird is I almost don't like. I feel like the Beach Boys is more surf culture and less like surf
less
rock.
Surf rock.
You know, because surf rock basically is like it's got that like fast, twangy, technically correct guitar that's very clean. You know what I mean? And I don't even know. I can't think of any of this like that. Where there's like not a lot of singing. The Beach Boys had a lot more like harmonies.
A lot of the surf music I've been listening to has no singing.
Yeah,
which there's a part of me that absolutely loves, and then there's a part of me that's like, okay, but I can't listen to it in the car because if I'm in the car, I got to sing along.
Yeah,
and I can't just sing along to the guitar part. I'll do it, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I grew up on Beach Boys.
Yeah.
So it's their whole thing is very interesting because, obviously they start with the surf culture kind of thing. And they like Mike Love, who is kind of a piece of shit now.
Yep.
Probably has always been. But
was he not the one that was maybe friends with,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Charlie
no, that
Manson.
was
Charlie Manson.
that was one of the.
That was one of the brothers.
Yeah, that was like Carl
okay.
Wilson, I believe. Mike Love always like really. I think him and Brian Wilson really just kind of were at war because Brian wanted to take them. He wanted to be the American Beatles, basically.
Yeah.
And so you listen to Pet Sounds. And it's very much different from everything else.
Listen, you listen to Pet Sounds.
I know.
You do it right
a masterpiece.
now. It is.
But then everything after that, they start, once they get into the 70s too, it's getting back into that, more into the surf stuff again, because that was what Mike Love, like, he was very nostalgic for this time that really hadn't passed, but it basically was disappearing before their eyes. And so he kept forcing the band into that. And, Brian Wilson wasn't around the whole time. He kept having incidences.
Yeah.
And then you have one of the Wilsons drowning in the
Yeah.
70s, and so they've had some bad luck, but
Yeah.
it's a very interesting band, and it's hard when people say this is all they were was a surfer band. I'm like, that is not
It's
even
like,
close.
No. You like wouldn't have any modern popular music because
No.
most people will attribute the Beatles with like you wouldn't have any modern popular music without them, but the Beatles wouldn't have been the Beatles without the Beach Boys.
Yeah, they needed someone to push them.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on probably about
Yeah.
the Beach Boys and Pet Sounds and all that jazz. But surf music, it's cool. It does sometimes have mozzarella stick vibes, but no one's going to understand what I mean, and that's totally fine. But I was watching a video on YouTube that was like doing the sort of history of surf, and it mentioned a band called Laika and the Cosmonauts, and I was like, damn, that's a really cool name for a band. I should try and listen to them. And then so I listened to this album that's on Spotify, and this song that we're going to play a little bit of started playing, and I just like got totally lost in this freaking song. It is so cool sounding.
So, well, before that, I just, what's nice about Spotify, is that,
We're on it.
well, we are on it, but for the most
Like and
part,
subscribe.
you don't have to pull out, you don't have to pay for it. And normally when you pay for things, you pull something out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that you have
even
digital.
digitally, sometimes they call it the same thing.
They
but
call
what-
it the same thing, but what is that thing called? Do
It's
you
your
think-
file. Is it File Explorer?
I got it.
Oh.
It's a giant elephant gravestone.
No, I don't think that's
no,
right. No,
that's
I
not
think
it.
it's-
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's Bitcoin.
It's probably Bitcoin. Lucy, do you have any idea? Lucy's here again.
Brr?
Oh, she didn't
No.
care for me waking her up.
Oh, Lucy. Oh,
That's
I think
right.
she
It's
said
time
wallet.
we reach into our best friend's pants and whip out some recommendations.
Yay.
Segue. I did
That's
it.
close.
Yeah, you
all right.
segued.
Yes, I segued all the way home. What does this sound like to me?
Like the coolest song you've heard in a long time.
Yeah, it's giving me very much like sort of like the like triumphant third act in a teen movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Like,
I can
you
see
know,
that.
it's because it has a very like like it has that like sort of ska punk sort of pop feel to it.
Yeah, there is something very like what I'm finding in this genre is like the proto version of so many things I like about other genres. Like there are things I like about punk music that are in here. Occasionally you'll get like I was watching some live performances and they're doing that like clean surf like
Yeah.
thing, and then they get into like a bridge section and the drummer's just like smashing everything and the guitar's got like this heavy distortion on it, and I'm like, this is just like a heavy rock like punk song right now. But then they'll have moments where it feels more like parts I like about ska and then parts I like about even jazz, and it's just like, this is a really cool genre that I just feel like I missed out on because I thought it was just a bunch of dudes singing about beach babes.
Mhm.
And I was like, I guess that's cool, but it's not really what I'm looking for right now. And then now I'm finding out that the real surf music was the friends we made along the way.
Also, isn't surf music like infamously hard to play?
Yes.
Yeah, to get the right like drums. No, not really. It's
No, the
it's
guitar.
every standard rock beat ever. But no, the guitar, yeah, because it's like it's really clean and it's always a lot of like fast tremolo picking, and it's just like
it's basically, you know, you take a walking bass line like and then like speed it up like 100 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like and yeah, you just have to be really clean. And like, you know, as somebody who plays the guitar I tend to play more blues type stuff because, you know, like part of the guitar is like bending the strings and sort of like pausing and doing weird, you know, when you're soloing at least. But like surf music just like, it's just unrelenting, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like metal in that way. You know what I mean?
There is a meme online if you start getting into like
Yeah.
surf music on YouTube that will show up every once in a while that is surf music is black metal with no distortion put on.
Oh, totally.
And I've seen people like give examples where they play the same line with and without distortion. You're like, damn, that really does sound like some heavy
Yeah.
metal ass stuff. And then you take the distortion out and you're like, oh no, that's just like
Surf
what's
rock.
going on under a Beach Boys song.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just like, what?
I do think it's so funny that like all of these like metal heads like play all this like technically like sort of like fast and they put all this distortion on it. But like every time I hear metal, it's just like pushed. I like they've gone too far with it. It's like pushed past the membrane and it's just classical music again. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, there's so much that's just like
it's just classical music. Because like if you just like listen, like if you get past like sort of the imagery and like the sort of like angry, the way how angry it sounds,
Mhm.
if you're listening to like
the musicality
the
of it.
musicality and you're like, this is just arpeggio run after arpeggio run after arpeggio run.
It's
You know what I mean? It's just classical music.
it's so funny the crossover of metalheads and jazz guys.
Yeah.
Because they're both so like they're so into the craft and they're so like into the practicing and like perfecting the art and like getting really really technically skilled.
Yeah.
And you talk to like I when I worked at Guitar Center, I talked to a ton of metalheads because that was most of like the scene that would come in. And like we still found so many things to talk about. Like we go for the exact opposite, like
Right.
drums and cymbals, but like
Aesthetically and stuff.
and aesthetics, but like talking about stuff like they're so focused on technique. It's just very different techniques, and it was
Yeah.
just it's really cool to see that like it's almost that like U shape where it like
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
the same on both sides, just like
yeah.
two opposed. I don't know.
It's always just like one's if I, you know, that finger exercise I do every morning to stretch my fingers out to play the guitar. One's if that was the song, like that's the whole song. And to me, that's why I don't really like that kind of music because after a
Well, I
while,
don't really either.
after a while, you're just sort of like, it's technically cool to watch. Like I can get into somebody who's really good at it, but then there's like kind of like sort of, I don't want to say it has no soul or like it just sort of lacks personality in a weird way, like the heavy metal stuff, because it's so like, it's so in your face, but at the same time, I'm like, but you guys are just like, you're not even using the guitar to like, I don't feel like I'm getting to know you and your guitar, you know? I don't think I'm getting to know you. I'm just here and you're just, you know, you're like typing on a keyboard. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm a classic rock loser who likes like a lot of, you know, bending and like blues.
Oh, boomer bends.
Yeah, boomer bends.
Ugh.
Oh, the live long day, man.
Oh, you boomer bends.
I know. I'm so, you know, what do I know?
Well, so that's the song that's in my wallet. I've played it like a million times today. I just played it in the car twice on the way over here.
Nice.
It's a great tune. The whole album's really good. It was Laika and the Cosmonauts.
Okay.
And that's all I got. So I would love to hear from Lucy, but she is asleep. So I'm not, well, her eyes are open, so she could.
She'll be asleep in a second.
Is it farts?
Probably farts.
It's probably farts. Craig,
Yes.
give me something. Give me some of that feel good juice, you know?
So I went to a musical over this past weekend.
Oh, look at Mr. Fancy Pants
I
over
know.
here.
Was it the musical version of Thank You for Smoking?
I haven't even seen that movie.
I haven't either.
I just
Wait,
know.
really?
Yeah, I haven't seen
You
it.
guys have never seen Thank You for Smoking?
No.
Okay.
That's not like a popular movie though.
It was in my house, so interesting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just didn't know.
We'll watch it at some point, probably.
Yeah, probably next time it's my turn to pick a movie.
As long as it fits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
How could you forget? So Veronica and I went and saw Come From Away.
Oh, okay.
Do you know this?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. Okay. So it is a short musical, as in it's only an hour and 40 minutes long.
It's only songs about jorts.
Yes. God, I wish. Jinko jeans.
I took my Jinko jeans and I cut them short. Now you look at me in a pair of jorts.
One more.
Yep. Nope, he's out.
No, because it'd have to be AABA, and I don't have a B for that.
Yeah,
so it's,
yeah.
I'll get
Cool.
there.
So the musical is about 9/11.
Uh-huh.
Yay.
So let that be on the record. Craig just yayed 9/11.
I yayed 9/11, yes. So there
I guess at least he's not forgetting.
Yeah, I'm not forgetting. There is an airport in Newfoundland or
Mhm.
Newfoundland, however you want to say it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And in the past, before major airlines and all that, so, like 100 years ago, anytime a plane would come from like Europe and go to America, they would have to stop at this giant airport in Newfoundland because that was the closest spot once you got over the ocean. Like that was the closest spot, so they would go there to
Okay.
refuel. And then once they had larger and larger jet planes that could hold all the fuel, they didn't need to stop there anymore. So to this day, there is still a very large airport that is in Newfoundland. And the reason that's pertinent is because what happened is in 9/11, they diverted all the flights to that airport because not a lot of people live there. So it's a small story about all the, in this case, it's a specific flight that lands there and what the people experience there from all different walks of life. And, you're getting the perspective of also the people who live there. It's very funny, but it's also pretty dang sad at points, as you would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
So it gets a little bit heavy, but very minimal sets. There really isn't much besides some tables and chairs, and they light up a couple of things to make it look like you're in a bar or you're in the police station, that kind of thing. But it's only a cast of about 15. And you're like, oh, an hour and 40 minutes. That's not like a lot of time. They don't stop. There's no going off into the side and costume changes.
It's like a one take.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Dang.
And there's no intermission. There's nothing like that. So it's the same people, and they're playing sometimes 2 or 3 parts. And so they have very subtle costume changes, but just them changing their mannerisms and their accents, because sometimes they'll be from other countries, and then they have to get the Canadian accent down. So it's very impressive. It's like, oh, it's only an hour and 40 minutes. Like, yeah, you were running around like a madman.
Yeah.
For over an hour and a half.
That's crazy. That's
So,
really cool though. Like
it
a one
is.
take. I feel like I've not really seen that ever.
The nice thing is that you can actually watch this on demand. It's one of those
Oh.
that they actually
You can
filmed
demand
it.
that they come
You
to your
can-
house
yes.
and do the live show right in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we saw it at the Fisher. We were kind of up in the nosebleeds, but it was still a very good show. So yeah, highly recommend that. Watch it at home. And
Is the Fisher the one with the penis chandelier hanging down from the middle? Or is that
no, that is the Fox.
that's the Fox?
Yeah. So what I've learned, because I get those two confused, but the Fox is the very ornate
Yeah.
theater, and the Fisher used to be very much Mesoamerican, Aztec kind of stuff everywhere. And then back in the 60s, they just redid the whole thing. So if you go in there, it's very subdued for it's not ornate really at all.
Lame.
But if you know that it's made in the 60s, everything makes a lot more sense.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of medallions and just like wood panels, and you're like, oh yeah, this
Yeah,
looks
very
like
60s.
my grandma's old house.
Love it. Love it. Fantastic.
Mhm.
William.
What, huh? Me?
William.
Where?
William.
Ew.
Give me something. Give me some of that good fun time.
So I did something I rarely do, which is I saw a movie.
Oh.
I went to the movie theaters and I saw a movie, and the movie I saw was Captain America Brave New World.
Oh man, how underwhelmed were you?
I was incredibly whelmed.
Okay.
I was whelmed. I wasn't. I had heard some reviews about it that were like, it's fine. Some people saying it was bad, and I was like, I doubt it. I liked Thor: Dark World, so I doubt I'll think this is bad.
So my bar is very low.
Yeah.
People right now seem to forget like how many stinkers there were still in like Age of Ultron
The
was
good
bad.
times, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, anywho,
There's always been stinkers.
yeah, there's always been stinkers. So I did see that some people were saying it was fun. So I kind of was like, okay, well then I'll go into this with I had no expectations anyways. And during the first act and the second act, I was like, this actually is a really good movie. I don't know why everyone is saying it's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third act hit. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I can kind of see that now.
Yeah.
Isn't the third act just him fighting
Yeah.
Red Hulk?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah. This movie had a ton of reshoots. And
Yeah.
it's obvious in the third act. Like, you're like, why does this look bad? It's a green screen. God, this shot looks bad too. God, it's a green screen too. Oh, this one's a green screen too. Oh God, why do these all look bad? What happened to this movie?
I had heard that one of the biggest complaints was that Red Hulk does not hang dong.
Yeah, yes,
And
that
it
is a
doesn't
bummer.
make sense.
It is a bummer
I
that
saw
you
that
don't
on
get
Instagram.
to see.
They were like, it doesn't make sense that for his first transformation,
Yes. Why
his
would he be
pants
wearing
down.
Pants are
such?
still on.
Yeah, well, you don't get to see 80-year-old Harrison Ford hang dong.
give us the Red Hulk dong cut.
Yeah. It actually was like when he, I was like, oh man, I miss the Hulk. Like, just cause like the Hulk has this like very distinct way of running
Mhm.
and like just like flying and breaking stuff constantly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, we haven't had a Hulk thing in a while.
Yeah,
It's good to be back.
because it's like they did 2 tries
Yeah.
and then they were just like, no, you're gonna be a side character.
Well, so a lot of the Incredible. So what's interesting is this movie is very much like sort of a sequel to the Incredible Hulk in a weird way. The
Mhm.
second MCU movie they ever did,
Mhm.
because Thunderbolt Ross is the main bad guy. That's
Yeah.
Hulk's main nemesis. And he's shown back up. He was like, other than Hulk, the only other character from the Incredible Hulk to show back up. Like, that's truly the one movie Marvel was just sort of like, well, we didn't do that one. I guess we did do that one. You know what I mean?
Technically, we did.
We did
but
do
it's,
that one. Let's just forget about it, though. But
Can I ask you a question?
sure, yeah,
Hulk wise,
yeah.
is his dad really a guy that just touches a thing and then becomes that thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
From the movie Hulk by
the
Ang Lee?
one, the Ang Lee one.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think Hulk's dad is a character. He might be. I've
Okay.
never been a big fan of Hulk. He's never been one of my guys.
Because that's been something that's like, what is that character and why don't I? It's so like, oh, I touch a thing and I just can become that thing, and then they both become lightning somehow at the end of that movie.
Yeah, that movie is strange. That's
It's
a
very strange, and I really
movie.
want to revisit it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to take the time to revisit it. But I just always thought that was a weird power, because at one point he like melts his foot into a steel grate and then hits somebody with it, and I was like, that's honestly really cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, that didn't happen in this movie.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, no, Hulk's dad didn't show up. But so the thing that's weird is 2 things are weird. One that I felt like kind of weird was like Thunderbolt Ross has been recast because William Hurt played him for a number of years, and sadly he died, I think like 2 or 3 years ago. So they recast him as Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross is like vulnerable in a way. It's weird.
He's not very menacing.
No, he's not very did you see it?
No, I just can tell he's not menacing.
Yeah, because like Thunderbolt Ross's whole thing is he's like super jingo militaristic sort of, you know, he's like the most stereotypical military character ever, you know?
Mhm.
And so in this one, he's like kind of a completely different character, which, you know, I'm okay when they kind of do that in Marvel movies, because you kind of have to when you have all these characters for so long. You kind of have to sometimes just go like, we're going to change them because this movie has to do this. And so they're going to slightly change.
Like, I know his look isn't right, but like if Ed Harris, that kind of demeanor would have worked.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like just, but he was kind of weird. But my biggest issue, and one that I'm kind of struggling with is Sam Wilson, who is Captain America now. I kind of just feel like I don't know. So, all the other superheroes we've had have like flaws, and like Sam Wilson kind of doesn't have any. And that means he's just like not very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like I like him. He's a fun character and he's good at like the quippy stuff, but like I don't know what why is he doing this? Do you know what I mean? Why is he doing this? What would a win for Sam look like? What would a big loss for Sam look like? Like I can't like like the whole movie. And even in the Winter Soldier Falcon TV show, he was sort of like, his whole thing was like, he can't live up to the pressure of being the perfect person people want him to be. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of get that. And then he just does these things effortlessly. And so I'm sort of like, but you can like just do whatever you like. So
he Goku's a little bit.
Yeah,
he doesn't really struggle.
Yeah, but at least like he doesn't like struggle. But like Goku at least was like, Goku's problem is he like 3 or 4 times would let his villains get to their full power because he loved fighting so much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, wow, Goku, that was a really stupid thing you did. But like Sam Wilson, like I like, because like, you know, like Captain America, you know, it's Steve Rogers, yeah, especially in the MCU, his Captain America was interesting because he was like, you know, he was stubborn and he had a very strong sense of like what's right and wrong or whatever. But like also on top of that, he was kind of a sad sack. Do you know what I mean? Like Steve Rogers was always kind of like a little bit mopey and sad because he was a man unstuck in time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like, I'm not getting that with anything from Sam Wilson, you know? So like, he's like sort of there and like, I'm like, you're cool. I like you. I think Anthony Mackie does a great job, but like, like I can't even like, what does his apartment look like? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would Sam Wilson's apartment look like? And I'm like, I just kind of assumed he just showed up for work today. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't seem to have an internal life that exists outside of him being in these movies.
Yeah, he's just the inner. He's not the outer.
Yeah, he just seems to be. So like that was my biggest problem, is not problem, but just sort of like why I didn't feel myself like connecting to this movie a lot, is because I just like, and I was getting a lot of like, I had this weird feeling in my brain. That was a very stupid sentence. But like,
it's okay. We've come to expect it.
Yeah, I know. But I get the feeling that he is a black character written for white people who are afraid of black people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like,
I mean, almost certainly that's what's happening.
I feel like they're like neutering him. At least the execs are, like to like make it so that he's like, or they're like, we want him to be, we want a good representation of a black hero, and we want to make him so like, we want to make sure he's unimpeachable, right?
Right.
Which is like, yeah, you do that for like politicians, like not main characters. Do you know what I mean? Like main characters need to have flaws, because otherwise
it's not interesting.
It's not going to be interesting, you know? And so, yeah, like his biggest struggle in anything I've ever seen him struggle with is whether or not he should take the super serum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't take it. And I'm sitting there going like, yeah, but like, but why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, no, I'm not going to take the super serum. It's like, what are why not? Well, like, why? I still don't like, he's like, cause I want to show that I can be a regular person and do that. I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid. I'm like, I don't like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Like, and if this was real life, you'd be dead. So, yeah.
None of these things are livable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you like watch the movie and like, I just love how like, if Sam Wilson wants to kick down a wall, he just fires his jets and kicks the wall. And I'm like, you would just turn your foot into pudding. Like
Yeah.
No bones anymore.
The power of the jet doesn't go to your foot. It pushes through your entire body.
Yeah.
You've not created a missile. You've created like a meat missile
Yeah.
to push down this wall.
Well, that's also the Bucky problem. That's also like the metal arm problem. It's
yeah.
that doesn't, your whole body generates the power, not just your arm. So
Yeah,
if you have a
right.
metal arm, it's just, you just have a heavy arm
You have a
that
very
you can
heavy-
move
yeah,
exactly as slow
Yes.
as you already could. Slower even.
But yeah, so it's, and like the super serums, I actually do think Bucky though also has he took the super serum. He has it. He's got super soldier powers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because he can run like that
Yeah.
one scene in Civil War where they're like running on the ground and they're going like super fast. Anyways,
Yeah. Was that not part of the Winter Soldier? That like he had,
no, it
they
was
gave
part
it
of
to, yeah,
that was
they, like,
part of him.
Canon,
yeah.
they gave it to him.
Yeah,
like,
he's got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so
I just haven't seen any of these in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. I'm still like, I'm not like somebody who's like, oh, Marvel's done. It's over. That was a fun ride, everybody. I truly hope, and what I've liked so far about what I like about the MCU is that they just keep going. Like, even
That's
when
so
there's
funny because that's the thing I don't like about them.
see, I like, to me, I think it's okay if somebody can do that. Not everybody should do that, right? Some
Yeah.
people should end their stuff. But I like the idea, and I don't mean like it's endless. I mean like they don't, like so many superhero franchises in the past have gone 1, 2, bad movie, throw it all
Done.
away.
Yeah.
1, bad movie, throw it all away. Instead, the MCU has gone 1, bad movie, try again, good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that sort of is like, yeah, do that. Who cares if this movie stinks? Do you know what I mean? Like, don't throw away the baby away with the bathwater. You know, so that's what I mean by like, I like that they're like,
That's totally fair.
Yes.
I think for me, I'm like, could you just take a power nap?
yes. I mean, they needed to take,
and then there's like a good chance, like a better chance that the next one would be
yes.
great again. If
Yeah.
you like
No, they,
make MCU great again.
yeah, that's
is
really what we
Will
need
and
to
I
do.
are really
They also need to
pushing.
like,
I'm not part of this.
they need to relegate the Disney Plus shows to like minor stories. You know what I mean? Like, do
Yeah.
minor stories in the Disney Plus shows. Don't make a whole big, like, the fact that like Loki was the perfect fit for Loki. It was like
Yeah.
on Disney Plus because it's this like side timeline story that like if you watch it, it's great, but you don't like need it, and you can learn about the Time Variant Society or whatever that was called, which is cool to then see in Deadpool versus Wolverine, but like you don't really need to watch Loki to understand that there's like time cops, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah, that's like a pretty
yeah. You can understand what that is, but like
It's in the zeitgeist.
yeah, but like putting the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus and then making a movie directly after the Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Where you like need to watch.
well, you don't necessarily need to watch, but they end up doubling up conversations they already had,
Oh.
or they don't explain certain things, and so like I got into a conversation with somebody in the comments.
Yeah, it's probably an argument.
It wasn't an argument. And he was just like, well, why did Sam do that? Why is he Captain America? Like he shouldn't be Captain America. And you're like, and I was just like, wait, did you see the Falcon and Winter Soldier? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, that you gotta watch. It's like 20, it's like 10 whole episodes and trying to answer that exact question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you got to go back and watch that. He's like, well, I don't have Disney Plus. I'm like, well, that's not my fault. Yeah. Anyways,
Actually, it is.
it is. I should actually pay for his and give him my passcode.
Yeah.
Do you have any excitement for Thunderbolts?
I always have excitement for more Marvel movies, even
Okay.
if I don't think they're going to be good.
It looks entertaining.
It looks entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely going to like it.
Are they doing a season 2 of Moon Knight.
I don't know. That one didn't do so hot.
People
Yeah.
didn't like that one. I really enjoyed it. I had a friggin' blast
I
watching
thought
that.
She-Hulk was awesome, and the fact that might not get a season 2 or something, like, I thought that one was great. No one understood that it was a comedy. Like, that's the thing that was so funny is they're just like, hey, She-Hulk is just like as powerful as the Hulk, and I'm like, this is a comedy. This is a comedy show. Like, this one's the funny one. This isn't the one. How dare you call yourself a comic books fan and don't understand that sometimes they do funny runs with characters? Like,
Yeah.
I don't. Jeez Louise. Yeah. Anyways,
Uh,
that was rough. But I am excited for Daredevil to come out.
Mhm.
yeah.
I think that's coming out soon.
Just think of all the merch with all this stuff. All these.
All these
Toys?
all these toys that you could license and buy. Somebody's got to build all these toys, don't you think?
Yeah. Somebody
I-
should.
You know,
Where would they build them?
you know who would be perfect for building toys?
Yeah.
LL
Ooh.
Cool J.
I actually.
Yep.
Okay. Get out of my head because I was thinking the exact same thing.
That's so weird. It's almost as if we watched a movie together.
Did we watch a movie or a fever dream?
We had a fever dream at Craig's
We
house.
had a shared
Yeah.
fever dream in Craig's basement.
Oh. Always.
In the form of Toys, a 1992 American surrealist comedy film directed by Barry Levinstein. No, that's not
Barry Levinson.
Barry Levinson. Co-written by Levinson, and you know what I'm learning as
Yeah.
I read out loud to my kids every night, and the books get more and more complicated. I can't read.
Yeah.
I can't read. Like
Mhm.
it's a skill I had, and I don't have it anymore.
Sick.
Yeah, it's super fun.
You got to do more popcorn reading in your day to day.
Yeah, I guess I do. It was co-written by Levinson and Valerie Curtin. All right, so it's starring Robin Williams, Michael Gambon, Joan Cusack, Robin Wright, and LL Cool J. So 2 Robins for the price of 1.
I actually would guess they had to pay both.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right.
Yeah.
So $50 million budget. It made $23 million. So that is a flop,
That's
my
a bit of a
friends.
flop.
122 minutes long. Felt longer.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't believe
It's not 122 minutes short. We'll say that.
Definitely not. At one point, Craig's like, you know what's crazy is that we're only halfway through the movie. And I just was like, no, no, you are wrong. He was right. How do you think this movie is doing on Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, so good.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna go with like 34%.
You son of a bitch. That was the number I was going to say.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm going to say 29 or 2 for 50.
Phil, you're the closest. 26.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes,
Allen.
49.
Mr. Allen's footwear.
39 for the audience score. So I picked this movie using a connection from the last movie, Ghost, the cinematography by Adam Greenberg. He also did this movie.
Mhm.
I remember really liking this movie as a kid.
Yes. Okay.
I remember it being one of those movies that like I saw and I was like, this is the most creative thing I've ever seen.
Mhm.
It's crazy. And then like it disappearing and forgetting about it for years and then remembering it again and be like, did anyone else see this bizarre thing that I saw? And then watching it again and going like, yeah, this is a weird one. Yeah. So, I have to say, watching this with you guys was uncomfortable because every couple minutes I could just feel your gazes turn to me as something very strange or incredibly cringy was happening. And I was just sort of like, oh, yeah, I don't remember this movie. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I did make us watch Borderlands, so I think we're...
That's true,
I
but
think
that was
you and
like
I are square.
that was like a deliberate, like,
And technically it was
Punk.
Jack.
yeah, that's true. But
This was a movie
yes,
that I think I had seen as a youth.
ooh, we got a helicopter. Loud. Anyways, I don't know if that's picking up in the microphones or not.
I think I saw this when I was younger, but like you said when we were watching it, I think I only remembered the parts that a child would like,
Yes.
which is just the end. And if this
The end.
movie was just the last like 20 minutes, I probably would think this was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So-
the last 20 minutes are like fun and hectic and crazy.
Yes.
The first hour and million more hours is like, what are we trying to be?
Yeah. So so Craig, how did you feel? Then I'll get into the synopsis about what this is.
Yeah, let's get an older opinion.
Yeah. So I saw this, oh gosh, maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. But I feel like I had seen it when I was a little kid, like bits and pieces of it. Because it seems like one of those movies that would have been on cable.
Yeah.
Just
definitely.
randomly.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's only like very specific parts of it that I remember, mostly the ending, and like the going up and down, like the hallway that's got the hills in it, and then outside being the, how do you say it, Palouse region.
Mm-hmm.
It's so all the outside stuff it's a real place in like Washington State.
Oh.
And I think it's called the Palouse region, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
it basically looks like the
Microsoft.
Microsoft desktop or like Gateway or whatever,
Yeah.
like just very, very blue sky, very, very green grass. And like
hills.
Well, you can tell the whole thing. So the whole movie is very stylistic. It's very much like trying to look like a cartoon or like a child's imagination, which is why when I was a kid, I was like, I think I've said this before, but I was always confused why more movies didn't look insane. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, you have, if you can. Every scene would be improved by the existence of a dragon. And so I don't understand why that is not in all movies.
Now, listen, this movie did not have a dragon
That's
in
true,
every
that's
scene.
true.
That could have genuinely worked in its favor.
Yes. And I do think by the end of the movie had won you guys over, at least slightly, or at least you were starting to have fun with the movie, as opposed to at the beginning when you're like, is turning this off an option?
It's a rough movie.
It is a slog to get to the part that's fun.
It is really weird how little chemistry Robin and Robin have. Like
honestly, any chemistry that Robin has with anybody. Like this is one of, I mean, Robin Williams is one of the greatest comedians and comedy actors that we've ever had.
Yes.
But there is some, like, he's had some real stinkers in there. And I think the choice to let him do his thing is not always the right choice.
Well, so yes, his character is incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because like he's supposed to be sort of like naive, I guess, or like, okay, so the premise of the movie, the plot basically, is that there is this toy factory in the middle of somewhere, and the owner of it, the founder, is about to die. He knows he's got a failing heart or something, and instead of giving it the toy factory to his son, who is Robin Williams' character, he decides to give it to his brother, Michael Gambon's character, who is. They explain that he's English, why he has an English accent, and then he tries to do an American accent, which was, I think, one of the first laughs we got from you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the most insane thing I've ever heard.
It's really good.
But so anyway, so he gives this toy company, instead of giving it to his son, because he says, my son's not mature enough, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this to my brother, who's a military guy, and then his brother. So this is when LL Cool J comes up because he's Michael Gambon's son in this, and cousin to
Leslie.
Leslie is Robin Williams' character's name. And then so like basically, I mean, like a lot of stuff happens where they're just like showing off this place, and eventually Michael Gambon's character figures out that there is a market for military style toys, and he tries doing it by like saying like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do military toys. And everyone's like, no, we hate it. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to work on a secret project. And they're like, what's the secret project? He's like, well, I'm not going to tell you. and it turns out he's doing an Ender's Game thing.
Yeah.
Where he's getting children to shoot down.
To fly drones, which is horrifying. And then he's also creating so most of the movie, once we get into it, which is about halfway into it, it's Robin Williams' character trying to figure out what Michael Gambon has been up to, what he's doing to the factory. And then once he's figured that out, it's stopping it. And that's it. And it doesn't, I don't know why I don't have any more details out of this 2-hour long movie, because that is all that happens. Yeah. There's a romance between Robin and Robin.
And that was really weird because
it's because so you had said that he's supposed to be playing this naive, forever a child
type character. But we one of the first scenes we see them together, he jokingly kind of doesn't run her off the road, but jokingly she's riding her bike and he drives over in his car, and he kind of keeps inching towards her until she has to stop her bike, and then he's like, let me drive you after I've done this. And then he says something about she's like, oh, why would you do that? And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to get laid. And it's just oh yeah,
okay, who is this guy?
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out.
He at one point he falls into the water where there's and he's just totally lost the facade of the character, and it's just Robin Williams screaming about how he's scared of the aqua pig or whatever the hell that thing was. Yeah, no, this to me is a perfect example of why good directing and good editing is important. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because somebody just said, Robin, do your thing. And Robin Williams did his thing. And as an actor, actors don't always have a great idea of how what they're doing is going to piece together, because you shoot things out of order. You shoot things, you know what I mean? And he may improvise here and there. And it's up to the director, and all them to sort of go have an idea of the vision and try and get what they want out of Robin Williams in those moments, and maybe, yelling cut before he, loses character, or trying things again and then editing out. But this just felt like Robin Williams was hey, just be funny on camera for a bit. And he wasn't given enough of who he was or what he was supposed to be doing. And then instead of editing around the funnier parts, because I'm sure Robin Williams, very funny man. He wasn't always funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a good editor would go well, don't make him look, that wasn't very funny. Let's leave it. And this, it felt like they were just whatever he says, anything he says is gold. And it's that's not. Yeah. So he was a weird character, to say the least.
I don't think I've ever seen Robin Williams so unlikable in a movie that he was supposed to be likable in.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing is, besides his character, you have his sister Alsacia.
Yeah, Alsacia.
Yes.
And
played by Joan Cusack.
Joan Cusack, always great. Kind of, I think if the director knew better how to use her, I think it would have been better.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people use her in the same way as being kind of that
spacey, kind of
bubbly, clueless person.
Yeah.
And
seemingly innocent, usually having more of a darker side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she just has nothing to do in this movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
nothing.
almost feel like this movie needed. So there are two children to this toy magnate. It's Robin Williams and Joan Cusack. I think there only needed to be one of those kids. One of those roles didn't need to exist.
Yeah.
And I think it could have been either of them, and you would have still had a strange, surreal movie like they were looking for, but it would have been less packed with unnecessary things that just don't make the movie good. They made it bloated and weird.
Yeah.
So to get into spoiler territory,
yes,
we find out at the end that Alsacia is a robot.
A toy, basically.
It was a toy.
Yeah.
A very complex toy, which they never did again because they didn't see any feasible money-making opportunities there. But that becomes the whole reason that, like, that's the fulfillment of her character is getting her head blown off.
Yeah, and it's only for that. Oh yeah, my this isn't actually my sister. It's a robot. It's a companion.
If they had
my dad,
done,
and it's just sort of like, oh okay,
Okay.
if they had done that bit right at the beginning of the movie,
yeah,
like right after, it's like, oh, this is my sister. Give it a little bit of time, then bam. I feel like that would have landed so much better than we had a whole movie where this was normal, and then it feels like somebody just said, yeah, wouldn't it be funny if she was a robot though?
Yeah.
yeah.
Like they decided when they were shooting that scene.
I mean, yes. To me, that seems like something that they would exactly do. You know what I mean? And Craig, I can't believe you.
I
I'm
just
kidding.
dropped my phone.
He
Sorry.
just hit the
phone.
mic stand with his butt.
Like, her character doesn't have any pathos.
No, she
There's
doesn't.
nothing. Like you said, Phil, if they would have early on, it would have been discovered that she was a robot.
Yeah.
Or.
And then they could have like used that or something.
Like,
yeah.
Leland could have used that as like reprogrammed her to do his bidding.
Yeah.
Something.
Or she was a crutch. Like she's like he realizes halfway through the movie he's like he's not growing up because she's not allowing him to grow up or something like that. And then she dies or something or sacrifices herself.
Yeah.
Or something, you know what I mean?
Sorry.
You son of a gun.
Or something just to like give her like some sort of like purpose or something. But
some purpose, some reason other than, oh, wouldn't it be funny if she was a robot?
Yeah, she's like there the whole time, and that's
she's wearing creepy doll outfits.
Well, the other thing is that's weird about her is like she would be. It's sort of like she's weird the whole movie, she's like acting like a child, but like sort of is so is everybody else.
Yeah.
The dad making the decision, they're like, oh yeah, he's not mature enough, or he's like, oh, he's too much like me. It's like, you guys seem the same.
Yeah.
He seems very capable.
He's also like a part of the process of like making toys.
Yeah. I'm like,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it doesn't.
you're an idiot that you did this. You like ruined everyone's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really bad decision that makes no sense.
Yeah, and he doesn't like. Yeah, he never proves himself to be incompetent. All he ever shows is that he like has a passion for making toys, and he's a bit of a silly goose.
Yeah,
and it's like,
which is exactly what the dad is.
And the dad's that too. He has a beanie hat that's
tied to his heart,
his heartbeat. So when it stops spinning, it means his heart is stopping. And it's like,
and he's got a laugh thing in his coffin.
Yeah.
It just keeps going, which is
that was a fun. There
are
bit.
some very funny bits. I think arguably the best one is LL Cool J being a like stealth guy. He would just like disappear at times and like,
or he's in a couch.
Or he's like in a couch at one, like he's hiding and he will just appear like he's been doing some like stealth.
Yeah, camouflage
stuff.
Yeah, and
like that was such a good bit that they kept coming back to.
Yeah,
with that
liked
character.
His character in general.
Yeah, his character was fun.
Yeah, his character was fun, and like, they'd be in the car, and he'd just be like, "Hey, where are we?" And he's like, "I don't know," and then he'd like jump out of the car and just like try and find his way home or what. He's just a weird
because
army
he was
guy.
The only person who had an arc.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
That's
no one
true.
else had an arc.
Yeah,
Robin Williams, Leslie didn't have an arc.
No arc. He didn't change at all.
LL Cool J was like, I'm a military person. This is the only thing
I'm a
I know.
no-nonsense military guy.
And then when he realizes that his dad's gone too far, he turns on him.
And also was responsible for his mom's death.
Yeah, and lied about it.
Yeah.
He's the only one with like an interesting story. He's the only one with a character that like makes decisions that make sense.
Yeah. And Robin Wright's character is also here.
She's
just there. Her whole existence is just to like look pretty.
Yeah.
And she like, I don't even think she does she even do anything? She's just like part of the gang. Like, and she and Robin Williams,
and she was hired to just make copies.
Well, she was also hired like, so.
She was hired to make copies and hired to fall in love with
Leslie.
With Leslie.
Yeah. So because like,
which is weird and gross.
Joan Cusack's character goes, "Oh, good, she found him." Or whatever, he found her or whatever, and then like someone else implies that like she hired.
It was planned, yeah.
Your dad hired I don't remember the exact
I
line.
don't know, yeah.
But
I don't know,
it was
it's
really it was really heavily implied that the dad was like, "You're a good girl for my son to date."
Jamie Foxx is in this.
Oh,
This
yeah.
movie,
His first movie.
if there was one word to describe this, it's bloated.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
too many characters, and Jamie Foxx, obviously, if it's his first role, he's not like a big name actor, but like there are too many things that demanded screen time in this that didn't need it. This movie's so bloated
yeah,
with like ideas and okay,
Yeah.
what was this movie? What is this? The Transmorphers to the Transformers of like what made this movie happen when it happened?
Inspired this movie, or you're
Yeah,
saying
what exec saw another movie and said, no, I want to do that one.
So what I was reading was that Levinson, this was supposed to be his first movie. So interestingly enough, I think if he would have made this in the 70s, it would have been a better movie.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because the vibes would have been a bit more on the level, and I think, obviously it would have been a different cast. But yeah, I don't
Well, it'd be interesting to see who would have been
he wrote it in 1979 with his then wife, Valerie Curtin. He came up with the story after reading a newspaper article about the Soviet Navy Intelligence Department finding information about the United States Navy nuclear submarines from toy models.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. Now I like that. What I would have wanted to watch was actually just a movie about that. Like
Just
make a weird, like kitschy twee story about a Russian naval officer like finding a United States submarine model
Yeah, to
and
me,
bringing it to his boss like, hey, look at this.
yeah, to me, the him getting like the idea for this movie, reading the newspaper, like I wouldn't be like if we saw this in the script. He's like getting the idea, and then the camera pans over, and Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's on television, or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because this also has like that vibe to it.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, let's just make it over the top and whimsical and sort of fantasy like. But that's the thing. Like the thing that also is weird about this movie is it feels like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but it has no kids in it. Do you know what I mean? So like,
Oh yeah.
it's like it's also it's a very adult in a lot of ways because like
Yeah.
there is like a sex scene in it, sort of.
Yeah.
It's happening, and but it doesn't have like that like fun of like the thing that I always liked about Roald Dahl's books and to another like other kids' books was like when there was real danger for the kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
like-
doesn't talk down to kids.
Yeah, he doesn't talk down to kids. So like there was like real danger, and so like this type of movie feels like it would have been better if there had been like children involved. Do you know what I mean? If it was made for children,
Yeah.
Because
And
this
like,
isn't a kid's movie.
no,
right,
not
and
at all.
and the only time there are kids is when they're
Oh yeah, at the very beginning,
inexplicably like,
doing a recital.
Oh, yeah.
there is
You could've
that. Yeah.
Cut 10 minutes from the Christmas recital.
Yeah.
Oh my
the
god.
movie opened with
Open with and kind of closed
yes,
with
yeah,
like
yes.
another.
There's
But
another
but then they
Christmas
have the kids
recital.
doing like flying the drones, but it's
Oh,
like
yeah. That sort of didn't go anywhere
that
either.
didn't go anywhere. That was such a. This is a movie of very bloated bad choices all around.
It's every single idea. So like I feel like there's a style of filmmaking that's old school. And I heard a lot about it when I was listening to a podcast about Gremlins, where there is like this collaborative sort of like you would make a movie and you just kind of like just say yes to a bunch of ideas and then shoot a bunch of stuff and kind of like cobble it together later.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like there was like a lot more like collaboration, lot less planning, more just sort of like creative people all together.
And this
trying-
is that, but they didn't have a good person at the helm for.
But nobody like cut any of that stuff out, and then like, or they were just like they just didn't know what they were doing to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because there's no maybe this idea was too big, and it needed to be reined in more. Like with a movie like Gremlins or some sort of horror film, you don't need to think too hard about how you're ending it. You just need to give it an ending. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the movie can still work, you know, whereas like a movie like this sort of like needs to have some sort of like point.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe
There's one part in this that really bugged me that reminded me of a bit from Community, because at one point, this is when they find out that he's doing the drones and like he's gone too far, and they're in I think the dad's office, or now the uncle's, or whatever. They're in an office, or no, maybe they're at home. Doesn't matter. But they're talking about what's happening, and somebody's like, we should call the cops. And Robin Williams says, no, this is a family matter. And at that point, somebody should have said, no, we're going to call the cops. This is illegal. And it reminded me of the episode of Community where Troy is in the air conditioning school, and they do that insane like challenge.
Yeah.
Because the vice dean dies, and one guy is trying to take over the air conditioning repair school, and Troy and him go in like a chamber with one AC unit, and the temperature keeps going up, and they have to repair the AC unit and see if they can not die. And at one, like, they finish it, and the guy admits that he killed someone, and they're like, we have to send him to the Sutton chamber or something like that. And then Troy is like, what? No, we have to call the cops. He killed a guy. And I really needed that in this movie of just like, no, why would we handle this ourselves?
Why would we take care of this at all?
This is not a family matter.
Yeah, he's bussing in children. to do drone strikes on who knows who,
this is not okay.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
No.
But like as a kid, there's like a final sort of showdown in this between the army toys and like the regular toys, sort of. But mostly what it is a bunch of army toys shooting at defenseless toys.
They're all like those old
timey
metal
like
ones.
metal toys that like wind up, and it's like a little kid with a stroller or whatever, and then they're just blown up, and you're like, oh, cool.
So if you've seen Babes in Toyland, it's a lot like that ending too, because they have the same thing where they have a bunch of toys fight the bad guys. And
it's just,
I was watching a movie called Babes in Toyland, and I don't remember anything about toys fighting at the end. It was just a lot of kissing and. No, that was
you. I think you're in different Toyland.
Yeah,
different kind of toys.
Okay, yeah. It was a different thing. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. The one part I remember that you guys liked a lot is
there was
when
a pizza guy.
Okay, stop, Phil.
Yeah, we get it. You watch pornography. Okay.
When the Michael Gambon's character is constantly taking space away physically from the factory, and they're in like a planning. They're trying to make this new vomit.
Yeah.
And the one character is like, this is obviously a white man's vomit.
Yeah.
That was an excellent scene.
Excellent scene. So the scene is they're all like in this like clean room. It looks like a clean room or something. In like, sterile suits, sterile outfits, examining and having a mild conversation about the different types of fake vomit they have and it's just really funny because they're just being like very practical and they're riffing, but all the while the walls are slowly closing in and like making their space smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Which,
and not even in like a sensical way, like pieces of the wall are coming in. Like puzzle pieces.
Freaking out either.
Yeah, they're like not even noticing it until it gets like really close, and then they start to like, oh, what's happening here? And they kind of just like deal with it, and they start getting closer, and then they get on the table.
Yeah,
at the end.
To me, that's just like that. That to me feels very funny in a lot of ways because and I liked the more surreal moments when like he's taking over space of this. Factory for his own experiments, Michael Gambon's character is, and like in any other movie it would just be roped off areas, but in this movie the walls are literally coming in around all the characters. You know what I mean? And so like that kind of stuff I was like, there's an idea here that I like,
that I
want to see more of, but like there's also like 10,000 other ideas that I don't like and I don't ever
Yeah.
want to see
Like I
again.
actively dislike
I-
many of these ideas.
Will mentioned there's quite a few times where we were looking over at him with disdain because the beginning of this movie especially is very painful.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I forgot how many awful lines there are
Yeah,
because
it's
there
just-
are so many.
It's so weird. It's Michael Gambon's character also like gets a tour, and while he's getting a tour, they keep playing this like really weird, like
Ugh.
Oh, God.
slightly sexual like work song. And like every time,
Ugh.
and every time they go in that hallway, that song is like still playing.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like it's supposed to be highlighting that it's like a fun place to work. And I was like, this is like literally hell. Like,
Yeah.
I would hate this so much.
It's so grating.
Yeah, it's a really bad, strange song. But yeah, this is one of those movies where it's like, I like that it exists. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think I do too.
I like weird movies.
yeah, I like weird movies, and I feel like if I was ever to make a movie, like you would maybe hear me bring up toys as like an inspiration for something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I genuinely think that vomit scene is brilliant.
yes, yeah,
Like it is a top tier scene.
yes.
Like it is so funny in so many ways on like multiple levels. It's just in a bad movie.
It's in a
Yeah.
bad movie, yeah.
But there are a few others that are like, this is pretty good. LL Cool J's character
Yeah,
is great
it's
in
great.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like a whole scene where like he doesn't like that his food touches.
And stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
like that's so wholly unnecessary to keep in,
Yes.
but I
But
like
it makes sense for this character.
It makes sense
Yeah.
for this character, and it's also just funny to hear him like complaining about the food touching, juxtaposed with like he's sitting at a table with Joan Cusack's character who's having a completely different conversation
Yeah.
about Robin and Robin, and it's like that was okay, that was good. I like
Yeah.
that bit. I like LL Cool J's character. And this is just a bad movie with some good ideas.
So if we were to give this
Ooh.
a rating,
Pick somebody other than me first.
okay, Craig, what would you
Oh,
give this
man.
movie?
Okay, so there are parts of this that I liked fine. I'll give this 2 out of 5 pooping in the tub.
Oh yeah, that was gross.
It's also when he said that's not a shared experience.
Yeah, that was a funny line.
That was a funny line.
That was a very funny line.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give this movie. I think I'm gonna. Would you give it 2?
I get 2, yeah.
Yeah, I think I want it. I'm going to give this a 2.5 because I think it does gets bumped up for style. I like the style, but 2.5 flying elephant gravestones.
Yeah.
Seriously, that end didn't
what
make
an
any
inexplicable
fucking sense.
ending.
That was so like the movie ends, right? They say bye to LL Cool J character. They've vanquished Michael Gambon, and the credits start rolling, and it's just showing the pretty background. And we're getting ready to turn the movie off, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just the elephant tomb for his father just comes flying through the sky.
Yeah.
And it is just like the and over the credits, it's just this elephant.
Yeah.
Just like
And it's not that it's like they did a CG.
no.
It's because you can see they rented a
They
helicopter
very
to
clearly
move an actual giant-sized like elephant statue around this like green grass.
very weird. And it made me go, I think this might be a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll give it 2 out of 5 bumper cars.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And he's like, I'd like to drive my father's car. And it's just a bumper car.
That was good.
That's
that
good.
was
That's
a good.
funny stuff.
That's a fun. There's so many little things in this where I'm like, there's something here. Maybe.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is funny. Yeah.
Like I laughed a good amount
Yeah.
at certain things, and then I laughed a lot of things I don't think were meant to be funny.
Ugh. Well,
this
so
movie.
that was this movie. I believe it is Craigerton's turn to pick a
Yes,
movie.
it is
Mine.
Craig the Wave Norland.
So I am going to take a lateral step, probably.
I thought that's where this was gonna go.
I know. Because I want to try and pick movies that I have not seen before.
Mm.
I'm gonna try and
All
make
right.
that my thing. So we're gonna be watching. Oh gosh, the director's name just left my head. Robert Altman.
Spiro Agnew.
Yes, Robert Spiro Agnew's Popeye.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So,
Haru is Popeye.
So we're doing
Pluto.
we're doing another Robin Williams. Is
We're
that
doing
the
another
connection?
Robin Williams. Yep, that's the obvious connection.
All right.
I have never seen this. It's
Same.
a
Or
movie.
maybe I have, but I was very, very young.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm in that same boat.
But it's one of those my dad likes. But
Yeah.
I think everyone else in my family's seen it. But
Yeah.
my sister does that a lot, where she's like, "What? Dad never showed you this?" I'm like, "No, I was just a little too young,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like I was probably upstairs playing Nintendo."
Or so, yeah. Yeah.
But I know this has a weird legacy to it, as being just a very strange movie.
I one of the things I do know, and I don't know if it's still true, but it was at least true at one point. But the Popeye Island
Malta,
that they created,
it's still there.
it's still there. You can still go and
that's
visit
awesome.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they kept everything. It's now an amusement park.
Yeah. It's an amusement park
Yeah.
now.
So part of the reason too I'm picking this, besides just I like Altman as a director, I would like to watch more of his movies. Is I know way too much about Popeye. Well, blow me down.
Well, blow me down. Cause eyes eat me spinach.
Yeah. I am Popeye.
Yeah.
It's like
that was
that.
pretty good. Yeah. It
Yeah.
sounded just like him.
I have a book still from when I was a kid that was like basically a know everything about Popeye book.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be watching this with a little bit of a like, hey, where's the Sea Hag? Where's Whifflehan? Where's Eugene the Jeep?
Oh boy. I don't know if you're going to like it then, because they probably, if it's, especially because it's an adaptation,
Yeah.
that was the era when they were just like, we're just going to.
Oh, I know. There's not going to be any of those characters.
Yeah, we didn't read any of the source material for
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. I've
Yeah.
been meaning to watch that movie, and I'm glad we have an excuse now. Because it is another one of those ones that got my attention because What Went Wrong did an episode about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating to listen to. And I might re-listen to that.
The kicker was that made me pick it for real was I went to the library and I was just looking through the
Mhm.
movies, and one of their newest copies was a Blu-ray of this movie. I was like,
Okay.
all right,
Oh,
well,
you
there
go.
it is.
And we got it. All right. So we good to...
Thank you for liking and subscribing to the podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. If you want to, gosh, I don't know what to say about this one. If you want to tell us about your favorite toy
Mhm.
you're growing up, I guess, and was it does anyone have those wind up metal toys?
No, because they're dangerous.
Yeah, they're dangerous and yeah, just awful.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by Brad Barr. Literally, this episode was because I watched this movie for the first time in Brad Barr's house.
Yes.
And I remember liking it then. But I'm 100% certain we fast forward till the end or something because I don't remember any of that. So if you want to help support us and want to hear your name shouted at, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/mumbleandshrug.
If you like what you heard, consider leaving a review. That's all for this episode. That's all for the toys. But stay tuned and we'll catch another wave, bruh.
Ugh. I mean, yay.
I'm Phil Kessel.
And I'm Will Chodas.
And I'm Greg Norland.
Don't watch movies because you got to get out there on your board, bruh.
This is
Cowabunga. This is radical.
Is this you now?
This is me all the time.
So you were a truck guy, now you're a surfer dude.
Yeah, I mean, how else do I get my board to the beach but my truck, man?
We need to work on your personality, Phil.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not working for me, though.
Good.
Brought to you by Mumble and Shrug Productions.